Hey there, I'm Katja Savia, an independent artist from Finland, and I'm crazy. I've been doing YouTube more than 7 years now, and during my lowest moments, I really question, why am I doing this? Is this really worth it? A couple of months ago, I came across with this interesting man and character called Greg Wojciechowski, and I kind of related with him in this weird way, and he was very fascinating what he was doing because he's making impossible to possible. He's 3D modeling and programming a little Big Adventure game, a game that's 25 years old. He's making an indie remake of that game, and I just had to. I had to interview him. So I prepared 10 questions to try to understand his mindset. Why is he doing what he's doing? And what is the drive behind this project? And can I find similarities in what I'm doing? So this is a long video, and truly extra long video for you. If you're interested in watching, you can watch this, you can listen through this like a podcast. And if you want to, you can, while you're listening, try to pinpoint Greg's advice how to stay motivated. At the end of this video, I will tell you my little recap, but I hope you enjoy. Okay, Greg, thank you for joining me, and let's start this interview. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and with your own words, what is this project of yours? What are you doing?
So I was always interested in the games from the beginning of kind of time, which I remember. And around year 2010, at that point I didn't work on any indie projects because I was 12 at that point. So 13 years old. So I was at that point working in a few indie projects, but always kind of this project ended and never delivered anything. So I decided to, at that point, I kind of started to working on the C++ and starting working on the games in general. So I learned how to do it. I joined another project, which after, I think, 2 years finished. I was still then in the gymnasium in Poland. And, well, this is kind of how it was always happening, that the project that I joined, people started very kind of passionate, started working on them, and then project just disappear year, half year, depending on the case. And this was also the case for me. So I was working on multiple projects. At that point, I finished one project, the Pirate Crystals, with my friend. We spent a lot of cool moments on that. I visited him at his place to be able to finish it up. And it was almost ready, but it was never kind of officially released. And what happened then is kind of, I still had the code base for that I use. And this going through the high school, where I still work on that. And kind of from high school, I progressed to the university, where I use my projects to kind of finish the courses. So this is kind of was big part of my childhood, kind of playing games, working on games, playing around with the computer, playing with friends, fixing the computers, and this can just become a big part of my life at that point. I also done some drawing and other artistic stuff, but programming occupied most of the time.
Okay.
And what I'm mentioning all these projects because this is the beginning in the fact of the project that I'm working on. So I'm working on the Little Big Adventure for right now 9 years, but the code base that I'm working on have beginnings in 19 years ago in the fact. So this is one continuous project that's going back and forth with it.
Yes. So you started early on with games. You have the skills and the ability to do what you're doing. And what you're doing currently is that you're making an indie remake of the Little Big Adventure game, right?
Yeah. The thing about it didn't start exactly like that. It started that I tried to do the technology kind of, because I was still at the university and decided just to continue with the project. And at that point, there were already remake of the Little Big Adventure, which I decided that I kind of not fully like it. It was created by Jacek, who are now helping me with my current project, which is pretty funny kind of story of rivalry, where we kind of at the beginning had two projects, and these days we work on one kind of. Okay. And I decided that the technology itself cannot kind of stand on its own. So at that point, I decided to create the game on it. Okay. And because the Little Big Adventure was, for me, kind of really important game, because I really like it, the story, the characters, and everything, I decided that I will go with the remaking the game. And this was the 2010 when I started to posting new stuff for the forum, like the Magic Ball forum. And from there, it's kind of went back and forth again as just remaking the game, which is just a one-to-one remake in the fact, just in 3D. So most of the people seen it as looking worse than the original. So, and they were right. I need to say that. But after that, I wasn't fully satisfied with that. And I see that this is not the Little Big Adventure that I want to see right now. Mm-hmm. This is not the project that I would want to show and kind of people to play it these days. So I restarted it, and this was around 5 years ago, where I decided that I will do something more, not only the remake one-to-one, but start doing some modification of the level. But it still didn't feel right, because the game is super old, it's super cool, but it's also aged a lot. So I decided to restart it again. So I thrown away all the content and left the code base behind it and start again. And in the fact, when I was starting the new version of the story, because the current version will have a lot of changes, I was sitting in a coffee shop in San Francisco and just sitting and drawing kind of the details about the changes that I want to do and how to tie all stories from the Little Big Adventure 1 with Little Big Adventure 2. Mm-hmm. Right now I have the whole notebook of the notes about it.
Now, is it 25 years ago when Little Big Adventure was released?
Yes.
So for anyone who doesn't really know the game, it's quite an old game, and you're just creating a remake of that old game.
Yeah, I probably should start with that, kind of.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, yeah. Let's move on. Then you already explained a little bit about this, but you initially started in 2010. So what was your vision back then in 2010?
The vision was create simple recreation of the first game without any new mechanics, no changes in gameplay, just one-to-one game, like in the older days, just in full 3D. And that's all. There was no more plans at that point.
How has your vision changed? Is it still the same? What has happened during these 9 years? What is your vision now?
As I mentioned, it's like I started by just changing. I wanted a little bit more, kind of visually improve the game, which to some degree it worked out, but to some degree not. But after that, I kind of started playing the Uncharted, and it was already on PS3, so it was I think 4 years or 5 years after release. And I just came to the conclusion that what I'm doing is really not modern, and really is not holding up too well in modern times. It was sad, the conclusion, But this was kind of the truth, that the Little Big Adventure aged. And I'm noticing this more and more by people disappearing from forums, me myself having more and more problems with playing the original games, and just this feeling that it's have its time and just it's have old gameplay style or old feel of the location. They are not too vertical, and everything is combined kind of trigger me to just do the kind of last push, because after 9 years or like 7 years of working at that point, it's really hard to find motivation to kind of continue. So at that point, I decided that I will do one last restart, and if it won't succeed, I will just drop the project.
Okay.
But turned out that we are 9 years and I'm still there. So it worked out pretty nice, in fact.
So one aspect that probably interests a lot of people is that when the game is under the copyright law, you don't gain any money from doing what you're doing at the moment. So everyone wants to know why. Why are you doing this? You've already explained it, but can you go into a little bit more detail? What is the main reason? Why are you doing this?
As I mentioned at the beginning, kind of, I'm for the 19 years I'm connected with the game development, and this is just programming. So programming is a big part of my life, and it was always. And after 9 years, the Little Big Adventure and Little Big Adventure Remake kind of become part of me also. So this is kind of working on it. It's defining part of my personality, and I think that this is the biggest kind of that these days I don't see this as the goal to finish the project, but just having fun with it, and just when I will finish it, for me this will be like end of some episode of my life. So right now I have a lot of fun with it and want to go with it, but I want to finish it up and be able to say I started the game and I finish it up.
Yes.
What will happen after, I don't know. But for now, I have enough work to not worry about it.
I bet. But that was wonderful what you said, that you're having fun with it. And I think I caught you saying somewhere that it wasn't a learning, it is a learning experiment as well. Am I right?
Yes, it is. It's like, if you look even on the videos that I posted, I right now posted 19 video previews, and the latest video, the 2 years later, is the 20 video that I published. And I'm from time to time looking kind of how the game changed over this time. And it's pretty astonished kind of just visually how it's changed. But this is a small portion of the things that I'm doing in the fact. Mm-hmm. So I myself kind of, the current job that I have, I was showing on interview, the project. So kind of my professional life is also connected to the stuff that I'm doing afterward. Yeah. So I'm professionally working for Unity Technologies that creating the engines. And when I was interviewed there, I showed them my engine. And even these days, it's like, thanks to that I'm working on this stuff, I'm developing my skills even further. But this is only the programming, because this is one of the skills that I needed to acquire to even like be on the level. Because there is also the drawing, which I still kind of learning. I'm not good with it, but I'm trying my best. There is modeling, which is the same situation, kind of. If I won't do it, nobody else will do.
Okay.
And I trying to push the quality as far as I can. So I always improving on the modeling side. If you look also on the graphical, it's very visible there. So this is another aspect. I also started reading about the animations, which is a pretty interesting topic in the fact, if you are into things like that, like how Disney done the animation, how they done impossible movements that looks visible in the real life. And this is another aspect of the creation of the game that I work on. So this is not one kind of area, it's everything what is related to the game. I even started doing the sound effects on my own, but
Wow.
it's still kind of learning experience, yeah. Which is pretty kind of funny in its own. So some of the sounds is just like, right now I have sound of opening the door, which I use just plain old, like wood, which I move another object over it, and you have this like sound of opening the doors, just after applying a few filters. I'm not good with that, but I will be improving. The only thing that I don't think I will be doing is the voiceover. I'm really bad with that.
Okay. But that's so amazing. That tells me that you have a drive to improve yourself. You're improving yourself, like your working abilities during your free time. And that's amazing. To me, that's amazing. And what you said in the beginning, was it like you want to say that you started something and you also want to say that you finished this project? That goal-orientated mindset is driving you also, it feels like.
This is, I need to say that this not working. Looking on the goal only not working. And there was a moment when I kind of tried to finish the project at some point, but it just, the moment when it's becoming kind of, you want to go to the goal, it's, you don't want to do this normally. Because what's happening then is taking all the fun off the road, because you're only looking on the final goal. Oh, I don't have game, I don't have game, I don't have game. Which is just wrong. If you're doing something, you need to have the fun from creating the game from the beginning to the end. Because this is what you're doing like 99% of the time.
Yeah.
It's not arriving at the goal. But it's kind of, these days, we kind of ending in this trap a little bit, I think. Because over these 19 years, I've seen so many people creating more kind of awesome things than me, that they were posting, like they saying that they done it in the month, they done it in the 2 months. The difference is that after 9 years with this project, I'm still here and I'm still improving, I'm still working on it. And they, after this 1 month, like let's say 1.5 months, they disappear. They're no longer here.
Yep. So. That's very true what you said. And it's so important to have fun as well, and not just look the goal that you're trying to reach.
But it's this fun coming from this improvement that you're saying small
things. Yes, exactly. So you told me that you have taken breaks over these past 9 years, and then you come back and made a lot of progress, and you're still continuing on with this project. Now, the most important thing here is that what has made you come back to this project, that you haven't just discarded this?
There is a small misunderstanding here. I never took the break. So I was having break on the posting about the project, but I was always working on it.
Okay.
So over these 9 years, it was non-stop work on project. There was never kind of bigger. There were some breaks when I like going for Christmas home, where I didn't have the computer with me.
Obviously, yes.
In practice, there was never kind of breaking from the project that I stopped working on it.
So you took breaks from posting on social media, updating?
Yes, because what's happening, I always have this weird feeling kind of that I try right now to stop doing that. But what's happening is like when you work on the project for a longer time, you don't noticing this improvement. Especially when like me working on the less visual parts and more kind of on the mechanics behind everything. So for example, I done the update, the last Thursday, and what happened is like I didn't have almost anything new to show. Everything what I shown looks worse than in the video that I posted a month ago. Which visually, yes, somebody can say that the project degraded. But reality is it's moved forward It's just that I sometimes need to break some things to fix them again or improve them. And this is kind of these long breaks in posting are mostly because of that, because I don't feel that I have anything to show, because I'm spending so much time in improving workflows or the tools that I'm using for creating the game. And this is this weird feeling when you know that you progress, but you know if you will show the progress, nobody even will notice it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people who don't even notice these type of things, even though you might think that it's somehow not looking as it could be, like its best. But you do you. You do what feels right for you, obviously. Now, I posted my Little Big Adventure theme this 2019 spring, and I noticed immediately when I posted that video that there is a small but dedicated group around Little Big Adventure. So, do you feel that you've gotten support from this Little Big Adventure group, fan group? Do you get support from them?
Yes, I need to say that is the truth. It's kind of there is still dedicated kind of group, and as I mentioned before, my biggest enemy and kind of right now biggest help is the same person. So Jacek is kind of part of the community, and he was there from when I joined already. And there is a lot of people who is there and kind of are dedicated for that. I don't think any of us is into that for money, because this is so old game that even streaming kind of people don't want to watch it most of the time. Mm-hmm. But the truth is, I think that there is big potential in the Little Big Adventure, and especially if you do it right, it can really fit into the modern world and modern gameplay. So I think that people would return back to this, because there is a lot of also people kind of silent fans, I would say, if I can call it that way.
Now, there are people supporting you, what you're doing, but there also must be people who are doubting what you're doing. So, what is your way to handle criticism? And have you ever felt defeated? And if you have, how did you overcome it?
Well, we kind of looking on the biggest critic of my work. This is the thing. It's you always need to be critical about your work. This is the first thing. If you are not critical, it's meaning that you will never grow. Because how you can improve something if you don't know about it?
Exactly.
So this is the first thing that kind of coming. And I trying to approach the critics from other people in the way that I understand a lot of their problems. It's like working on it 9 years. So there is big doubt that I will ever finish. I'm doubting myself if I will ever finish, even if I'm trying to do it my best. And this is kind of normal. This is kind of also the fuel to go forward, to show them that I can improve and I can make it. And this is kind of the funny that over the last video get only positive feedback. I didn't find any comment that kind of criticize what is done. There were people that were mentioning that they are not a big fan of this kind of more realistic approach to the game. Mm-hmm. But even with that, they told that wrote that it is still awesome, and they still like it. And just this thing that I kind of sometimes sending my friends, like the closer friends, pictures or the video from the game, and they saying, I need to play the original game because it's bringing back memories. Just that is kind of, it's pretty impressive. And I think this a lot with the people that knew me when I started, and then they were doubting that I'm doing. But these days they are impressed that after all this time I'm still going with it.
I think that's a big thing.
Yeah, and this is people. A lot of them is with the experience with the game dev, so they know how it's going. And this is kind of when I hearing something like that, I cannot just stop smiling because, It's something big for me. If somebody who knows this industry, know how you create the games, how much effort it's taking, saying you that they are impressed by what you're doing, it's been a lot.
The community is so amazing. What I've noticed that there's no room for negativity, or is it that if there is, it's very like little negativity there.
Problem with that is that to kind of bring back the whole Little Big Adventure to being alive as the universe, we cannot only focus on these positive people. This is sadly the Little Big Adventure community is still small. It won't be able to kind of leave the project in the state that it is to recreate it. We need people from outside. We need new players that never experience it.
Definitely.
And as you mentioned, it's like the story is cool, the characters are interesting, but it's still old. And there are people that wouldn't even start playing the game because of its looks and because of its feel. And I think that's why it's like we need to be open on people who criticize us also, and they are negative about the project. Because I think that this group is also important, and this is also important target as for the remake. That's why I'm trying to build the game not only by taking old elements. There is a lot of these old elements, old pieces that original players will notice, but new players would never care about it. So they would think that this is kind of, there is like some event in the game which nobody kind of care till you play the original game. It's bringing the memories.
I think the criticism kind of like helps with all kinds of projects when someone points out sometimes a real issue. Like, I think I need criticism to improve and evolve with things that I'm doing. I just feel that criticism is necessary in some sort of way. Now, what kind of working schedule do you have? And this means, like, do you work on this project every single day, a little bit? Or do you spend long time chunks in one sitting, like during weekends, for example?
It's depending if I'm going out in the weekends. I try to kind of balance this because I work as the programmer every day. So on top of that, I'm mostly programming for the game. So I need to balance that. Sometimes there are days where I come in and just don't do anything. And there are days where I come in and kind of want to finish something. And I'm working on that. Like yesterday, I didn't do anything for the game. And 2 days ago, I kind of spent like 4 or 5 hours on it.
Is it difficult to find the balance?
It's hard, for sure. I can say that it is. But it's kind of, this is the choice. It's like, as I mentioned, the project right now is a big part of my life. It's like, I think it's more kind of as the goal and having fun with it. And I don't only coding, I also doing modeling, drawing. So this diversity kind of the task also helping to kind of, because these days I, for example, working a little bit more on the 2D graphics, trying to improve my drawings. Mm-hmm. And, it's completely different than doing, for example, modeling or coding.
Then I'm interested also to know that do you reward yourself in some sort of way? Do you reward yourself after working on this project? And if you do, how do you reward yourself?
I never thought about rewarding myself for that. Mm-hmm. For me, as I mentioned, these days I'm having fun just from finishing something, and I have the evening when after like almost going to sleep, I kind of still playing the game and just looking around, and I'm impressed by myself kind of that it's turned out this way or another. So it's the reward is the process itself kind of is rewarding enough. And I don't doing this, as I mentioned, for any rewards. I'm more kind of spending on the project than getting from it, kind of in materials things. But just developing yourself and your skills is, for me, big kind of reward in itself.
I think that sounds healthy, super healthy. And if you would be rewarding yourself with external things, I don't think that's going to carry you or take you far. But what you're doing now is just perfect.
Yeah. Sometimes I need breaks, and this is a different story.
Yeah.
Like, going somewhere or visiting somewhere, taking vacation and going just without computer at all.
Yeah, I think that's important, taking complete breaks.
Yeah. And also, as I mentioned, sometimes I taking like a notebook and just doing some notes. So I don't need really like computer to do some stuff. But I need to also balance this because it's hard to work on everything because then you need to balance the graphics, the story, and the programming and everything else. So this is another thing. Sometimes it's good just to, if I'm stuck on something, just screw that, close the computer, go somewhere, go sleep, play. And the next day, very often, I have just the solution for the problem, which is pretty kind of funny if you think about it. That the more time you're spending when you are stuck and spending more time on something, the less effective you are.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. It's funny how I'm finding the same characteristics with you. Like you're working on games, 3D modeling, and I'm doing music, but we still have common same things going on. I'm noticing on that table of yours that there is some sort of model. Is that like you practicing the modeling?
I'm also sculpting in free time.
Sculpting, yeah. So what you're working on there?
There is Nausicaa from the Valley of the Wind.
Okay.
And some miniatures for the D&D sessions. I'm kind of working on them, but they are already in progress.
Can you shortly tell the process, what you're doing? Like, what is that material that you're creating?
It's polymer clay. So what I'm doing, I'm kind of creating the armature. I can bring it even.
So, you can bring it.
So I working on this. This is the polymer clay. So what I'm doing is kind of it's like modeling, which allowing you to just model stuff.
It's beautiful and so detailed, the face and the hair and.
Well, this one is still work in progress, so it's still not finished. So I can model it and everything. I have also the D&D figure that I mentioned before, which is kind of super small.
It's super small, yeah.
But it's kind of working. From another things that I kind of, and you can mod sculpt it for longer time, and then you're baking it. So what's happening after baking? I'm able to, for example, paint them and achieve results like that.
That looks amazing. But first, when I'm going to ask that painting, but how that clay works, like, does it dry on its own?
There are multiple types. So this one is the baked one. So it's polymer clay and it's not air dry. So what's happening, if I could remember, it's based on the plastic. So what you're doing, you're kind of creating the metal armature, which is the wires, which you can see, for example, on the feet here.
Yeah.
There is the metal wire, which allowing you to kind of have the structure of that. And on top of that, you're building the whole figurine and start sculpting with it. So adding material, removing material, shaping it. And after you finish, you baking. Or you can bake in meantime. So this is the case in some of the figurines. Like here, the head is pre-baked. So I make the head, put it to the oven, like 15 minutes, 140 degree, if I good remember, and you're just baking it. So it's becoming hard. So the thing about it is like the standard I'm holding here, or the head, it's solid. Okay. But on top of that, the legs, I can still like shape it.
So you can return to the project like later, it doesn't harden.
Yep.
until you
It's
pick
still
it?
have time limit with it. Because I have another figurine of the Tomb Raider one.
Wow, that looks amazing.
So what happened with this one? This is because I didn't have too much time to work on it. What happened? I kind of spent more than half year, kind of working on it, and like just taking break, like months sometimes. And what happened is at some point the polymer kind of started breaking. It didn't hold the consistency. So you have some time limit, but over like 2-3 months you can work freely on that.
Okay. That's very interesting material. Now, then you bake it in the oven and then you paint it.
Yes.
What paints do you use?
Acrylics. So you're just taking the acrylics paint and paint over it.
Do you have background in painting?
Nope. I'm was studying the programming, and this is kind of my education. Is I'm the programmer. I never study any artistic stuff. I never done anything like that. So it's mostly I kind of learning things as they go.
Yeah.
I done some drawings and some watercolors. I'm not so good with the painting kind of the pictures, but I done some works also like that. One of the pictures also hanging on the wall there.
Which one do you prefer? Is it like painting on a canvas or those sculptures? Which one do you prefer?
Both of them have they're interesting in their own way. So they're requiring a little bit different skills. And this is kind of interesting for me. But when you sculpting, you don't need to really know about the lighting. So a lot of things is just you take it, making its shape, and it needs to look from all the sides. And it's more about the anatomy kind of, which I'm still learning how to, for example, shape the head that is looking like human and not weird.
Exactly, yeah.
Which kind of in the Tomb Raider figure I a little bit didn't work out for me, but I improve it. This is kind of never-ending story. So I learning more about the anatomy, and in this case, you most of the time have the book about the anatomy in front of you to see how muscles are placed, how they will shape when they are in some pose. Where in the drawing is more about the lighting and just working with 2D pictures that it looks good, at least at my level of the skills.
Yeah, it's very complicated actually when you like drawing the lighting and everything, and also the human anatomy. It's very difficult. It's not that easy.
Yeah, it is even becoming pretty funnier when you're working with different kind of sizes, because everybody's the same. And when you're working with somebody super skinny that you think all the balls, it's different kind of approach when somebody have the more mice and more like it's more muscular or less muscular, but still have mass. And it's like all of that is kind of completely different. And it's just how the skin folds placing, how the hair's going. Everything of that is to make it looks good. It's super important.
Yeah.
So I, for example, using this, I have this mini figurine. I have also the dwarf, and right now I'm making the dwarf woman. Kind of there, you need to make it looks like a dwarf, but you don't want skinny dwarf because this will be look more like I don't know some hobbits. Like you need to kind of balance that.
Yeah. That's amazing what you're doing, and what you showed me looked so detailed. Well done. Well done. And I'm happy to see you kind of like practice your skills and improving yourself with that. I don't know how I would do it.
I see the pencil behind you, so I think you're also drawing. So
Yeah, here and there in the past I've done that type of stuff, and painting as well. So that's why I'm very interested of what you're doing. Do you feel like the therapeutic aspect when you're painting something and creating something with your hands?
It's relaxing. Yes, I need to say that. It's like for me, I'm working on the sculpting in like breaks. So I take like half hour just sculpting something and then leaving it. It's just the relaxation. It's also allowing me to kind of not looking on the screen for some time.
Yeah. I think it is very therapeutic, and there's something magical about when you're doing something with your hands, creating something. I have a couple of more questions for you related to this project. Now, this last bigger question is, what characteristics you have in common with the main character, Twinsen?
I won't say right now, but in future probably I will be also bold. But other than that, I don't know. It's like I think that what is interesting about the main character is really kind of he's saving the world because of coincidence. I always like to describe that the whole game is about the guy whose girlfriend, fiance is kidnapped, and he tried to save her, and in the meantime saving the world. This is my description of the game. And I think kind of this is not exactly I won't save the world, but I also started a little bit coincidentally with the project, and I just these days work on it a lot, and I think that I should be able to deliver. So maybe I will save at least the Little Big Adventure kind of as the game, but we see.
I think that's perfect description. I think so too.
We'll see. I will try my best. And I think this is another common like the thing. It's like twins and always try.
Yeah, yeah.
And because you're always dying there, you keep trying a lot.
And then finally, we have the last question, and it is, how can we help you with your projects? And also you could tell us how can we find you from social media so that we can keep up with the updates that you're doing.
So how help is the support kind of. This is the biggest thing. So these days I don't searching for help in like helping with production, because it just I come to the conclusion that the most efficient spending of my time is just working on game. So in this way, the support, the fan art for the Little Big Adventure is always nice to see other people working on the stuff. And this is interesting that after my video, a lot of people posted their own kind of attempts to recreate some location, recreate some part of the islands. And it was pretty cool. And other than that, it's just sharing the posts. I think that this is the big thing. And at some point, I will also ask for some help with the localization, so the voiceover. But this is still in the future.
Yeah.
So it would be cool if some people wanted to help with that and just record the localization for the game. Yeah. Because as I mentioned at the beginning, I won't be able to do that.
It's a pretty huge thing, big thing, and you definitely need people probably to help you with that.
And I only speak 2 languages, so I will have big problem to record anything. And my voice is also almost too feminine, so like the Zoe role would be really bad in my execution.
But we never know. We never know what happens in the future.
I tried, believe me.
Okay.
You don't see that.
Okay, you tried. That's very good.
The fact that I know that I'm bad in that is because I tried. I tried trying also the voiceover and improve that, but it's just it looks simple when you're looking at somebody doing that. But when you yourself trying to modulate your voice that it sounds like a different person, it's a completely different story.
Yeah.
You start appreciating these people even more, what they can do with that.
Definitely.
So this, for finding, there is the Facebook page. On just search for Coffee Monster by 1E. And there is coffeemonsters.com, which is the website where I try to post the bigger announcement. These days, I'm trying also to do the updates using the Twitch, because I have always problem with writing the long text about the updating stuff. So it's always by experimenting right now if the just streaming updates will work out better. And so far, I think it will be the right direction to go, because I can be more kind of freely about it and see the reaction of people. So you can join there and follow. And I think that more or less this is all like way to contact.
I think that's a very good thing that you started to do those streams that people can contact you and ask you questions and see you live. I think that's very awesome. Now, that was all the questions that I prepared for you. I have to say, and probably a lot of people are eagerly waiting for more updates on this project of yours. So far, everything that you shared looks magnificent and fantastic, and me and other people, we're wishing you the best of luck with this project of yours, and hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you. I will try to update every month. I will try, at least.
Yes, that's like, always try.
Yeah.
So that was our little interview with Greg, and here are some of my notes that I took while I was making the interview. That Greg's tips for keeping motivation, and kind of how to find your passion if you're still looking for your passion and dream or goals or whatever. Like Greg said that he has always been interested in games. He has always been playing games. He has been fixing computers. He learned programming, and he has been part of different kinds of game projects. So games, or somehow related to games, game stuff has always been part of his life. Why he started making this project was that he saw the beauty and the potential in that project, but he also saw something that could be improved. There is a community around Little Big Adventure, aka friends that you can share progress with. Greg also emphasized that he's the biggest critic, and I will add to this that without criticism I can't grow, I can't evolve. This is one really important tip that Greg mentions, that don't be afraid of failing. He said that it's very normal to realize after many hours that this isn't working, this is not looking right. So we have to break apart whatever you did and build it back together and fix that was wrong, whatever that was wrong. This is the crucial moment for some people. They quit when they realize that, oh, I have to go back and build it all. It's like a test out your motivation. Is this the thing that you should be doing? Greg also said that you should be having fun. It's a learning experience for him, and it's also related to his career. He can expand his career professionally, and he said that the most important thing is the journey, not the actual goal, and I believe that too. It's not finishing the actual project or a financial thing or fame or anything. It's just enjoying this journey. And I have to say that I'm enjoying my journey as well so much. And it carries me through those difficult and low times while that I might experience sometimes. I guess we can all agree that the journey is not going to be easy, but hopefully, and it's going to be rewarding in some sort of level. Okay, thank you for watching this long video, and we see each other next time with another music video. Have a good one. Bye.